Hey there! Thanks for watching again, Just Conspiracy. As you can tell, I got a computer over here setting up good audio recordings to bring y'all from court. This is actually going to be a two-part series because the audio recording is going to end here in about 20 minutes and I'll have to go and change that out. Allan, the man, is making a motion. His motion is to move for religious freedom. I figured I would share this with y'all here real quick. I move court to uphold law and religious freedom and stay the non-consent order for the day of April 16, 2022, so that Sarah Lucas and the entire church congregation may celebrate the death and rebirth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ together as one people who worship the one and only true sovereign in creation that American jurisprudence has always declared to not have jurisdiction over divine kingdom. In brackets, it says, unless Henderson County Courthouse usurp jurisdiction now in the present that God has given you at this moment. And basically what it's saying right there is that we've all known as Americans growing up, we have religious freedom. Are you going to respect our religious freedom to get together and worship together? Our freedom of assembly and our freedom of worship. Are you going to respect those points of law that we all know since we were a child? We all heard about it since grade school. There is no threat of any harm that may come to Lucas and Sarah, as no less than 100 or more God-fearing witnesses will ensure Lucas and Sarah's safety, or report such a crime to the proper channels and in the proper jurisdiction within 48 hours of known commission of such crime, to a publicly known jurisdiction that lets accused child rapist walk with a misdemeanor, and no man or woman who has duty and obligation to correct will perform official duty and execute warrants eyewitness sworn out by Valerie Owenby on July 10 of 2021. And I'm going to link that video up here. I'm also going to talk a little bit about what was in the news with Greg Newman, but I actually went through a lot of the court records, and I'm going to link the playlist somewhere about here for Greg Newman. But Greg Newman was removed from office because he fumbled this particular case. And this is actually from the Citizens Times. And it talks about Valerie Owenby, known until now in court records as VO, wants everyone to know her name. She wants everybody to know her name. And she talks to us in an interview about how powerful it is to testify against the people who do wrong to you. Let's watch real quick.
Your testimony was very riveting. It was very powerful, very emotional. And for myself personally, it was difficult and painful to not only hear that, but I think that the satisfaction of giving you the opportunity to be able to address Greg Newman was most powerful.
Most definitely. It helped me a lot in that aspect.
So if you could elaborate a little bit more on that for other men or women who've been victimized, can you tell me how it helped you?
When you're on, oh my goodness, not platform, what is it called? On the stand, facing who has either victimized you or mostly victimized you in an aspect. When you're able to sit up there and look at them and tell them what they did to you, how it has affected you, how it has hurt you, how you might not be able to trust due to that. It brings a sense of relief to you as I got it out. I'm able to breathe. I can take a step forward.
So you feel like it really helped you with the processing of the situation?
It did, most definitely.
So, and did you testify before the state bar when they were holding their administrative hearing about Greg Newman?
I did a little. It was more of a questionnaire not on the case, as in my case that had happened is more in it was more for the victim's right hearing, where he didn't give us the right to hear. So it was in a different aspect of what needed to be said and what was said at the time.
You testified a little before the
State bar.
administrative hearing with the state bar, and I know that I've heard this from people who watched the administrative hearing with the state bar and people who watched the hearing up in Hendersonville. And did you feel like they were blaming you, like when you were cross-examined on the stand by Greg Newman's attorney, do you feel like they were blaming you for making the accusations against him? Like they were re-traumatizing you, in a sense, with how they were questioning you?
When I was on the stand, it was only the 3 people who examined me. There was no cross-examination from Greg Newman's side.
And that was when you were on the stand up in Hendersonville?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so there was no cross-examination. They never attacked you while you were on the stand?
Not in Hendersonville. In the one at the state bar, they cross-examined me, and it was quite brutal. They were
And this is what law is supposed to be there to do. It's supposed to be us coming together as a society and giving the people who don't have the power, who don't have the strength, who don't have the physical ability to punish those who do wrong to them, those who can overpower them. And it's about us coming together as a society and setting that right without violence in the street. That's the entire idea of a court of law. O&B grew up in the house her grandfather built on a mountaintop in Henderson County. She lived there with her father, brother, and grandparents at the end of a country road, surrounded by woods and very few neighbors. The closest neighbor was James Franklin Sapp, who O&B, now 22, said sexually assaulted, raped, and terrorized her from the age of 5 to the age of 12. Think about that. He raped and terrorized her for 7 years. Sapp of Hendersonville was charged with rape of a child by an adult and other sexual offenses. The charges were dropped in 2015 by Henderson County District Attorney Greg Newman. Newman dropped all sexual assault and child rape charges against Sapp, adding a misdemeanor assault on a female charge, which he did not even have to register as a sex offender for. He got a Jeffrey Epstein plea deal, which should show everybody in America that Jeffrey Epstein didn't get that deal just because he was a billionaire, an extravagant billionaire. This is just the way business works down at the courthouse. And they just do whatever they wish because people don't seem to understand that there is no law anymore. Valerie Owenby says in this article, I just want James Sapp and Greg Newman to know who it is telling people the truth, and they have to think about what the heck they are doing, Owenby said. She just wishes for people to know who's telling the truth and who is lying. Let's listen to Emily Cohen for a moment.
Did you go today to the clerk of court?
Yes, no, I just went down. I was just here October 16th. You told us to be back today at 9 o'clock.
You're gonna have to go back to the clerk of court's office. Tell them that we don't have your file. Clerk of court, civil side, first floor. Cover your face with your mask. Mr. Williamson. I remember him came out. He was painting us last time. He was painting us last time.
Tell them not to send him back. Tell them not to send him back.
I know.
She tells the man to get out of her courtroom, sends him down to the clerk's office, is annoyed, said he was acting like an ass or something like that before, when she saw him before, and tells the clerk to instruct the clerks downstairs not to allow him to come back. This is exactly what we talk about when we talk about them denying you access to a court of law. This isn't just happening to Allan, it's happening to most people, but most people don't understand it, or they just get into a situation where they get robbed by an attorney. Let's listen to Katie testify about her financial situation paying attorneys.
Did we both talk about not hiring attorneys for the separation agreement because it would cost both of us too much money and we were struggling after we separated?
Yes, I stated the concern with attorneys was financial primarily.
But was it not a concern of both of us and not just you?
Yes, I've been struggling financially as well as you have. That's correct.
And it seems really amazing because it's a concern of both of theirs, yet Allan is out tens of thousands of dollars, and yet Katie can keep going and keep going and keep going all the time. The court is running over Allan for some unknown reason. Taking advantage of trust. In 2015, Sapp, who owns a tree service company, pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor charge of assault on a female, which doesn't carry the same weight or seriousness of sexual assault on a child. He lives with his wife, Cheryl Wilson Sapp, in the same home where OMB says she was raped occurred. Sapp, because of the charges Newman gave him, was not required to register as a sex offender. The North Carolina State Bar Disciplinary Committee found that Newman had violated North Carolina Victims' Rights Act and rules of professional conduct. They suspended his license to practice law, but they stayed the suspension so he can still practice law. He actually went back to his job after this. He actually went back to his job. I think the panel really doesn't believe I lied to the court, Newman said after the hearing. That's why I got to leave Raleigh with my law license intact and still get to do my job. See, he's bragging about how they bought all of his BS and they didn't catch him lying, even though they said that he falsely gave misinformation to the court. I mean, I would consider that a lie. And they found that he had absolutely no remorse. You can go and see all of this stuff in the videos that I made in the playlist about Greg Newman. I wish to encourage everybody to do that. Greg Newman falsely informing the court that the victim had been notified of the plea and did not wish to be heard. He knowingly made a false statement of material fact to a tribunal engaged in conduct involving dishonesty, fraud, deceit, or misrepresentation that reflects adversarially on the lawyer's fitness as a lawyer and engaged in conduct prejudicial to the administration of justice But he doesn't think that they believe he committed a lie. He doesn't think that they believe that he actually lied. And he actually said that he would do it again. And as it's scrolling through this article, please take note to how many different article links they have to other child rape and other high school experiences that are going on, that the police are aware about and people are aware about and the public's aware about, but don't seem to get prosecuted. 3 detectives with Reeves were then able to photograph Sapp's public areas, which OMB had described to police in detail. Sapp was arrested, charged with 1 count of felonious rape of a child by an adult, a crime that carries a minimum prison sentence of 25 years if convicted, and placed in Henderson County Courthouse Detention Center for a $150,000 secured bond, which got reduced to $10,000 for some strange and unknown reason. That seems kinda weird. Just another one of those articles for subscribers. Asheville school sued again for alleged sexual abuse. Current faculty accused of cover-up. Wow. OMB's testifying, I did not have a normal high school life. I didn't have a normal middle school life. My old life was overturned around, she said. I was the oddball at my Christian school because of what happened. I would act out. I said something in the bathroom to an older girl that made them think I was worldly. They sent me to a purity class where they talk about your chastity and how you will wait to have sex until marriage. That made me feel worse. I thought at that time I was going to hell. The church didn't support her. What happened to let's believe the woman? What happened to she's telling the truth? Let's believe her. We got to stand up for her rights too. And this is what he's talking about in his motion about Valerie Owenby. Owenby said she told Newman in one of her meetings with him alone that she wanted to testify against Sapp and be present at all court hearings and at sentencings guaranteed by North Carolina Victims' Rights Act. She said the district attorney discussed the importance of her victim impact statement and got her to write a victim impact statement. Greg Newman at the disciplinary action denies that he met with her alone because that would be inappropriate, but Valerie and her mom testified that that's exactly what happened. How many times do people have to lie to you before you know them to be liars? On February 27, the Citizen Times asked Newman why he dropped the charges against Sapp. His quote, I didn't drop the charges. That's not true. The charges were reduced. There was a conviction, Newman replied. When pressed that he did, in fact, drop all felony and sexual assault charges in the Sapp case, Newman said, that's right, that's right. That's right, I did do it. I did just lie to you. I did drop all the charges, but I told you because I'm so used to getting away with BS, kind of like Tamara Lee is, that I didn't think anybody would actually question me on it. Why would I believe that? The judiciary seems to let us get away with anything and everything, which is why nobody has gone back and corrected this yet. And just in case you didn't get the news, this is why he was removed from office. And I've had a lot of people thank me and appreciate me for making the videos I did because they think that's the only reason he got out of office. Let's continue. It would be gesture of goodwill and faith in the justice system should the true law of our sovereign be upheld with judicial officer signature appearing on proposed order stamped and lawfully filed with the clerk no later than April 14, 2022, and notice given to all parties, as the court will be closed in recognition of our sovereign on April 15, 2022, which is called Good Friday. The court is actually going to close in recognition of the sovereign that they are supposed to uphold the law of. And he's using this as one of the reasons why they should uphold the law. But we'll see what they do. May God bless your soul or have mercy upon it. I humbly ask for the same grace and freedom recognized by the North Carolina officers as coming from the one true sovereign in the preamble of the North Carolina Constitution, sworn to be upheld by all constitutional officers. And now I gotta go stop the recording over there and reset it. I'll be back. Okay, thank you for joining us back. While I was changing out the audios and recording another frequency, I apologize for my performance. I've not been getting a lot of sleep this weekend. I pretty much crashed out. I ain't getting sleep last night just because of all of the hectic stuff that's going on. It's not just Allan, it's all across the country. And if we don't come together as a population, if we don't come together as a people, if we can't put our petty differences aside, then we're going to have to be governed, and nobody's going to enjoy it. At the same time, I got a message from the Smith family asking if they could ask for the whole weekend to have the stay for Easter so that Sarah and Lucas could go to church with them. I said that's fine with me. I mean, in my opinion, it's against the law to keep a congregation separated. And we got to start thinking about these things. We got to start thinking about our children's future. Because what's going on right now, it's not right. And even if you're not involved, like even if you don't have anything going on in court right now, I'm telling you, if you don't help us stop the criminal activity, pick a number, get in line, it's going to happen to you at some point in time. It really is. I got dressed up, church clothes, to try and get maybe some other people to listen that don't normally listen to this channel. If you're watching this, please pass and share it. Make sure you pass and share it to people individually, because I'm pretty sure the NSA is shadow banning me. We got to call the courthouse. We have to publicly speak in a voice about what the difference between right and wrong is. And if we can't do that, we're going to lose all of the freedoms that we have. In fact, we don't have any freedoms left. The government's not recognizing any freedoms, and we're about to see if they're going to recognize religious freedom and the freedom to assemble. But with how they acted with COVID, I just pray to my sovereign that they actually do uphold the law, because I'd hate to see it go the other way. I would absolutely hate to see it go the other way. It's a tragedy what happened to Valerie Owenby. That shouldn't happen to anybody. And she is a woman who found the strength within herself to take it upon herself to go and force action in the court and get some type of result, like removing the guy who was an accessory after the fact, in my opinion, to the child rape that she was a victim of. You have to ask the courts for permission to swear out a warrant or take out criminal charges. You have to ask the courts for permission to protect your family. They won't put a protective order in place without DSS saying that they recommend it. They don't honor contracts that are lawfully and legally binding because apparently you could have undue influence on somebody while they're not even living with you, and they testify to the fact that they helped you write the document, the contract together. The contract is ambiguous. In my opinion, the court definitely is required to help clean it up. But you don't just throw out what people consented to do. And then with a fraudulent consent order, in my opinion, and the main proof is that Allan's name had to be penciled in, showing me that they were probably going to sign it without him. My guess is that Emily Cowan was like, nope, I'm not putting myself in that responsibility. And Gene Johnson, I pray to the Heavenly Father for your soul, because I really do still have faith in you. And I just hope that you were smart enough to stamp in a new order by last Friday, so that maybe somehow miraculously it could magically appear again. Because, well, we've seen a lot of court documents do that. But for the American public, how much more proof do you require? How much more proof do you need? Audios, videos, court documents, first-hand testimony. Are you not going to believe that we don't have a court of law when they come to your door? When they drag you in to the court, to the administrative process? When they force you to worship the state and tell you that your God doesn't exist and their law is no good, that they can just make up pretended offenses against you and charge you for it? Are you really going to wait that long? In my opinion, it's up to the church. The church historically has kept the government in check. And one of the things that a lot of people argue about on the political spectrum is welfare and entitlement. And let me tell you something. Before welfare checks came out, before food stamps came out, before the government started sheltering homeless people, that was the church's job. And you can see pretty clearly, at least I can, this progression throughout history where, well, recent history, where Paul Harvey, if I were the devil, he made a pretty accurate description. But as churches kept getting tithes and donations, and the government kept on taking over more responsibilities with entitlements for people, and the church didn't have to spend those tithes and those donations on the people that they were supposed to, doing our Father's work. It looks to me like they spent it on themselves. They created mega churches like mega corporations. They asked the government for existence and permission to exist. And every church I know of flies the American flag over the Christian flag of their denomination or church. And in military terms, it means that it's been dominated. That it's been dominated by the highest flying flag. I don't know what the symbolism means to you. I don't know. All I know is I look at the Bible and I see the Old Testament as the Creator's legislation, and I see the New Testament and Jesus Christ as coming down and giving us judicial review. And Christians in Hendersonville, I've kind of been calling on you because you're my prayer for helping to save America without violence. And if what's going on with Allan doesn't upset you right now, just think about what a judicial officer said to me when I asked her who created government. She said, God created government. God created government. God didn't create you. God created government. Well, who created government?
God created government.
If you go back to the Greek, judge and God mean the same thing. They're the same word. That's why I wish to speak of it as my one true creator, the man, the one true sovereign of the universe, to be very, very clear. Well, who created government?
God created government.
If God sees us judging each other this way because of persecutions that happen as supposed courts of law, how do you believe he's going to judge us when Judgment Day comes? Well, who created government?
God created government.
These are just some things I think about. And I know I'm really blessed, and I shouldn't have anything to complain about. But I work tirelessly for basically nothing. Just because I wish to offer you the present that our Father gave us. And it's now. The present is now. It's this moment. It's this moment you're breathing. It's the moment you're experiencing. It's all the reasons you have to live for life. Family, children, love, care, relationships. And who is the government to come in and tell you that you can't handle those affairs properly? And we got to take away these contracts because the mom was too incompetent to sign them. But in my mind, the only legal strategy for taking those away is so that she can get more custody of the children and have more legal contracts to sign. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. When I was growing up, all the fairy tales and folklore that I saw, Disney, cartoons, whatever, it always talked about signing a deal with the devil. Don't put your signature on anything because you could be making a deal with the devil. What deal are we making right now? By our inactions or our actions? Please call, please write, please make a difference. There are a lot of us out here, but the thing is we're not going to have any idea of how many people are in this conspiracy until they all show up at the courthouse together. May 16th is the date that I'm pushing. If you can't show up on any other date, show up on May 16th. It's over a month away. Maybe plan a day or two or three, because it could take a minute for Allan to make all of the points that he wishes to make. And Allan has court on April 18th. Kind of ironic, that was the day I was married. Anyways, we are just conspiracy, and we just wish to conspire to bring our Father's kingdom down here to earth. One world, love, and peace.
Case file open and you want to file, then the clerk has to put anything in the file that you want. If it's your case file open. Okay?
Nah, it's their duty to sign an order or judgment.
No, that would be a judge.
And that's why we require a judge or a magistrate to witness the proceedings.
But the judges only have jurisdiction over actual court, not ones that are just created by people.
Well, who created government?
God created government.
God created government?
I'm not going to have this discussion. What I'm telling you is I'm the magistrate. I'm not coming over there, and nobody else who's sworn an oath to uphold the laws of the state or the country are going to come over there.